Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Grue Room. And for the Grue Room today, we got a very great guest. He's an actor and a musician. His name is Duncan J. Anderson. And I am Rocco Cross. I am the host of Stutters. And I am going to be asking him questions about acting and music and find out what are some horror movies he likes too, since we are a horror show. I am Rocco Cross. I am the host of Stutters, like I said, and my interview with Duncan is coming up. Okay, welcome to Grue, and thanks so much for taking time out of your night and coming on the show, bud.
Of course, man. Thank you so much.
Yeah, definitely. I'm looking forward to it.
Thanks.
Uh, like the first thing I wanted to ask you is like, how did you get involved with wanting to do both acting and music?
Um, so originally first it was only acting. I went uh through a lot of obstacles I had to cross in Ohio. I didn't have the best childhood growing up with social stuff. So I just wanted to find something that sparks passion within me. I didn't really find anything fun or exciting at the time. I just was really depressed, and my family said, "Hey, why don't you go to this thing and try it out?" It was like a modeling, acting thing. I
Oh,
didn't really think
nice.
anything. I didn't really think anything of it. Yeah, and then yeah, so I went in and was honestly just trying to do anything but go to school at the time because I got bullied. I got bullied a little bit. So
Oh
it
no.
was kind of a, well, it wasn't the best experience, as you can probably imagine. But yeah, I know. So I was honestly, I was a little bit afraid of just going to school. So this was something that I tried to do. And then my parents got a call one night from the international placement director of said studio. And they're like, "Hey, is this Mr. and Mrs. Anderson?" And they're like, yes, this is, what's going on? And they said, "Well, your son Duncan." And my parents stopped her and said, "Oh my goodness, what did he do? He must have done something super bad. We're really sorry. I mean, we're so sorry." And she said, "Sorry, what do you mean? He's really talented." So we wanted to, what we were wondering if we could ask you. We already asked him if we could take him to this convention in New York City as one of our talent, agents and managers look all around. And keep in mind, my family had no idea what an agent and manager even was. So they said, our Duncan, are you sure you don't have like the wrong Duncan? I mean, this Duncan's not the most uncommon name, So yeah, I ended up going, and I actually had the time of my life there. It was really groundbreaking for me. I learned a lot about myself. I got a decent amount of interest gauged from agents and managers all across the U.S. and internationally to an extent. And my family was like, "What the heck? Awesome!" So yeah, I think the convention started on like a Monday or a Sunday, and by Tuesday afternoon, I had like 4 hours of representation on the table. So
Wow.
my family was like, "There is no going back for you, kid. You've already given too much. You're just too talented for in the acting realm." Like, they didn't know. I didn't even know anything about it either. I just, something, I guess, was either a mixture between innate talent or just really wanting to just go for it. Because I mean,
Yeah.
everybody's like, "Oh, I want to be in the movies," quote
Yeah,
unquote, but then
exactly.
they never actually do it. And yeah, I mean, I ever since then I never really stopped. And then my family and I moved
Oh,
out to Los Angeles for a multitude of reasons, but one of the main ones was for my acting career. And then I developed music, found out that I've got a niche for it. So I tried to learn, and I'm pretty much self-taught. I've got a couple of mentors in the production world, but most of it's just trial and error. And I learn, and that's been really cool. I've been trying to get a couple of album. I've done a couple of, like, I did an album. It was released Black Friday 2019, which was
nice.
great. And then I've done a couple singles since then. But yeah, it's honestly it's just therapeutic for me. It's really fun.
Oh, sweet. That's awesome. Nice.
Thanks, man.
And speaking of like your songs and stuff, your music, that from what I was reading about you, was your very first song, Silence in My Head.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
one of the songs that I released in my album. That was the album's name that I released. One of the songs in it was named Silence in My Head. Definitely was a very fun time. The album, I've learned a lot since then, but the album still is pretty cool. I've got about 12 or 13 songs in that album, and if you listen to them in chronological order, the lyrics juxtapose the battle between the beginning and the end of like a mental health like
Oh
relapse.
wow.
So it's I try my best to like incorporate things that people can resonate with or can understand a little bit, because it's real, and no matter what anybody really says, people deal with some mental health crises here and there, no matter what, no matter where you are, where you come from. It's just how humans are.
Exactly.
So definitely I try and implement a little seasoning of some reality in some of those lyrics, because a lot of songs that you hear on the radio, they're great, they're catchy, they've got a nice melody,
Hmm.
and they're just fantastic songs, but sometimes their lyrics just come from a more broad sense of like, from like a scenario. It could be a multitude of different scenarios based on like a
Yeah.
feeling, and that's great. I love it, but I just wanted to try something a little different. I wanted to go very specific into it, but with like, it's just some interesting philosophy stuff I try and go about. So, but yeah, I try my best to incorporate like some very specific, some specificity into it, to incorporate a little bit of a flow between the melody and just giving the world a little bit of my personal anecdotes, but also with something just that they could resonate with, to like a pinpoint.
Yeah, exactly. Wow, no.
Yeah.
And I also reckon you just said a little bit about it. I also read that you're big into helping out bullying and
Yeah, I am a
anti-bullying
anti-bullying.
campaigns.
Yes, I have very big anti-bullying activist. I try my best to use what I've done so far, and I
Hmm.
guess my publicity as a platform uh, and as a catalyst to help people realize that there is always going to be a silver lining, um, and that really is. I mean, I was there. I felt super alone. I didn't feel like I had anyone when I was going through my mental
Yeah,
health issues. But
exactly.
um, but yeah, no. There's people more than not will give you the time of day. If will be your punching bag if you just want to listen. You just want them to listen. You just got to be upfront. But also, I just think, in the grand scheme of things, obviously, I'm sure you can relate that bullying is just a detriment to everything and anything.
Oh, I know.
It doesn't
Oh,
help anyone. It doesn't even help the bully per
oh
se.
yeah, I know.
Definitely doesn't
Exactly.
help the bully, the
Exactly.
victims of that. So I just think it's slowing down the progression and the progress of the world, and empathy and emotional intelligence, mental health coexisting.
Mhm.
So I honestly, and also it's just not a nice feeling at all. Like, I don't
Oh,
understand why anybody feels the need to do it if it's out of their own insecurity. Like, everybody's feeling the same types of
well, yeah, I know.
emotions
Exactly.
inside. So it's just, they should really just learn how to love one another for who they are, and not hate. So that's kind of one of the main reasons why I'm so into trying to put on that anti-bullying
Hmm.
persona, that like, just like, what's so hard and what's so wrong with just loving somebody else or just being there for one another? It's
Exactly.
really not that hard.
Exactly.
It takes more muscles in your face to frown than it does to smile. So just take the easier out, I guess.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like that's something that I dealt with a lot, like growing up as a child, as a teenager, even in my adulthood too. Like
Yeah.
the constant teasing and bullying because of my speech and my stuttering, and
Sure.
uh, by the time I was an adult, I grew thick skin, and I'm like, all right, is that the best you got? Like, really? I'm like,
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's just draining, but in the grand scheme of things, the world is obviously the world's not perfect. And
mhm,
no individual is perfect by any means. I feel like the most quote unquote perfect person is extremely imperfect. It's just you can't also, well, perfection is subjective, but also like just nobody's perfect. Like we all have flaws, but yeah, it's just annoying to me why some people are like just they have to stoop so low into saying, oh, I have to hurt somebody else, whether it be verbally, physically, emotionally, just so I can make myself feel better about myself. That's just not cool in any way, shape, or form, and even if it gives you that immediate, if it gives the bully that immediate, like, oh man, I feel like I'm empowered, great. Well, tomorrow you're going to be waking up in the same shitty position you were in the day before, even though you just got like that 5 seconds of like, oh hey, and I'm feeling pretty good. You're not gonna feel good, right? If you really want to feel good and fix whatever it was broken that you may feel is inside of said person, right? You need to work to find a solution, a permanent solution. And I just think that it's just, I really can't stand. I was the type of person when I moved out to California that if I saw anybody, granted, it was a lot less common because California, in my opinion, is a lot more open-minded than the Midwest was.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But at least in certain areas where I was from. But if I saw somebody like bullying somebody else, I would literally stop what I'm doing and being like, yo, like, hey, what are you getting out of this?
Yeah.
Like, what are you getting out of this? And they'd be like, what are you talking about? I'm like, come on, like we all know, we all see it. Most of us are too scared to come up and say something, but I'm not. So you may as well, you may as well just stop because you're hurting this kid, just let him go about his day. Sure, you have shit you got to do too. So just leave him alone. And most of the time it works. Some other people, they just kind of get a little bit weirded out. They're like, what? This never happened to me before.
Right.
Which brings up another point, right? Because, in my opinion, the bystanders are worse than the perpetrators.
Yeah, exactly. I know.
Because if you have the ability to say something and you don't, that's just kind of turning a blind eye to it. And that's, in my opinion, it's extremely disrespectful. Because if that person was you would want somebody to say something too about what's going on with your situation. So if you see something, and obviously, there's a middle ground if like they're just friends and they're just like, like making fun of each other. It's like, oh, whatever, being kids, whatever, that's fine.
Exactly.
But sometimes it goes a little bit too far. And I think even if you're a stranger, just go for it. Just say something to someone and be like, yo, hey, like tell that buddy of yours to knock it off. Because I don't really think what they're doing to you is super respectful, and you kind of need to look out for yourself sometimes, and hopefully they're doing okay too. But no conflict.
No, you're absolutely right about that. Like, I mean, because I know even from my own personal experiences, like there would be a lot of people around watching me getting teased and bullied, speech and just like not watching and not stepping in, and like even when I was a kid in the classrooms, like the teachers would actually see it and not do nothing about it. And
yeah, that's unfortunately,
you're right about that. You're absolutely right about that. Like it doesn't take a lot of effort to step in and stop the bullying happening.
Yeah. And who knows, that may change somebody's life for the better. They may think, that could totally change 180 their entire view of the world. If it's just one person, doesn't matter who, just goes up to the oh my god, to the bully, and it's just like, hey, you need to cool off. Just go pick on somebody your own size, I guess.
Yeah,
and then I mean, and like I said, in my personal, whenever I've gone up and tried my best, obviously it doesn't happen all the time, because if I'm driving or whatever, other stuff, but like if I have the opportunity to go and try and help somebody in that regard, I will. Because again, if I was in that situation, I saw hundreds of people just walk by not saying something, that's almost even more demoralizing than what the bully's doing to you.
Oh yeah, exactly. I know.
So yeah, it's definitely something that needs a lot of fixing and changing. And again, one of the other things too is that social media and the cyberbullying has gotten a lot more prevalent in recent years, just because it's super upsetting and unfortunate. But there's been some studies shown that I've read and researched a little bit, and bullying is more common anonymously on the web or through user tag, because they have that safety from behind their phones, even though they think that it's, they're doing the same type of thing. It's more common for them, the bullies, to bully through the phone,
Oh wow.
because it's just, they have feel that, nobody's watching them, or not doing it in real time,
Yeah,
in a real
that's
like
yeah.
person's like bubble. It's just, and it's unfortunate, because sometimes that's even more work. It's even more deadly and unfortunate, and just not the best. Like if people, it's just super demoralizing to see somebody read something online where you're not even sure who it's from. You know
Oh
what I
yeah,
mean?
exactly,
So
exactly.
like, not
No,
only
yeah.
that, but even if you do know who the person's from, it's like, it's all game, and it's really demoralizing. I remember I used to get, like, when I was like 13 or 14, right, when Instagram was coming out, or was,
Yeah.
and just becoming like a huge popular thing. I used to get DMs a lot from these people, like, why are you doing this? Like, why are you on here? And like, nobody cares. Just delete your
What?
account and leave.
Really?
I don't know. I mean, we were all really young. I mean, I don't really know.
Oh
But yeah,
wow.
I just ignored it. I was like, whatever, and it was super demoralizing, because some of them, you're like, oh, I know you never really got along with me for some reason. I don't even really know. But other people would just have like a fake account, or like a just something that was like hidden. So I couldn't even know who they were. It was a different
Well, yeah,
username, some
yeah.
other thing. And I was just like, what makes you feel like this is not only a good thing to do, but what makes you think this is like good for you to do? Like, it's just a
Mm,
waste of time,
mm.
space, energy. It just doesn't make any sense. So yeah, ever since then, I'm like, instead of, succumbing to that pressure and being like, I don't like to do this. And I'm just like, you know what? No, I I tried to use and what had happened to me, and what I encountered, as kind of a social leeway, a social like segue into hopefully helping others, either one, deal with the thing from other people, or um, making it so it doesn't happen as often. I mean, I've gotten, which is really nice to hear, I've gotten some DMs on Facebook, Instagram,
Yeah.
other things, from just people I've never seen or heard of before, and they say, "Oh my God, thank you so much. You totally. I listened to one of your interviews, and that totally changed. Like, you give me a little bit of hope. One,
Oh, good.
or thank you, my son and daughter. Like, they look up to you because they're getting bullied in school, and
Yeah.
your story really makes them feel like they can go to school and have a good day, which is really nice for me to hear. Like, I'm almost in
It's
tears when I
really
read that
awesome.
stuff,
Love that.
because like, to have that effect when I'm not really even doing anything directly, I'm just kind of doing
Yeah.
my stuff. But I always try and respond. I'm like, oh my God, thank you so much for this message. Tell your son and daughter, or even if it's this person that's coming from a primary source, I'm just like, tell them that there's always good in the world, no matter, you just, no matter how hard it may seem to believe that. You just got to look, in certain places. And
Sure.
it's hard, because people shouldn't really have to go through any type of pain, especially when they're in their youth, when they're growing up.
Oh, I
But
know exactly.
it that could really affect, with all the critical window theories, and the trauma, and how it, grows with you. But yeah, I don't know. I try my best to be that person, to set the example with what I can set the example with, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah. Because like when I was a youth and a teenager, and I'm dating myself here. When I was a youth and a teenager, there was no such thing as Instagram, and Facebook.
yeah,
So the bullying was face to face. It wasn't hidden behind the screen.
yeah,
And
yeah,
now, like, I feel bad for the youth and teens now, because not only do they get it face to face, but they also get it on the screen too,
yeah,
and that's really sad.
yeah. It's definitely interesting to look and study on how the social, not only social pressure, but just, social status and everything, it changes if you're in person to when you're behind the screen, or when you're doing it. It just, human nature just changes
Yeah,
completely. It's all distorted and weird. I mean, I guarantee you, most of the bullies who bully others on the screen wouldn't do it in
yeah, that's
person.
true. You're
it's
right
it's
about
just
that. You're
it's
right. Yeah,
just it's upsetting, because more people have access to it, more people. And I honestly just think it's getting old. Like, people just need to grow up and
I know.
do what they got to do for themselves, but also let others do what they can do for themselves, because we only live once, really. And it's really hard, you know, you got to make the best of it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You're right. And going back to like your songs and
Sure.
stuff. You're big into the EDM songs, the music.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what do you love best about that type of world, that type of music?
Interesting. That's a really interesting question. So I like it because one, I just think the tempo is phenomenal. I mean, there's a set different amount of tempos or like BPM. I mean, EDM could really be under any genre, but it's the template. You
Yeah.
know, it's like you start off with a beat, then you add you incorporate some instruments, then you add a build up, then a drop, then a break, then rinse and repeat, or so on and so forth. And I just think the creativity one person can do with that is just super, just endless,
Mhm.
you know. And I mean, as much as EDM doesn't even have to follow that set structure, it's still, I just think, you know, the creativity people can have um with said, you know, it's like you don't have to go to Juilliard, you don't have to go to a music school for like 5+ years to release a song. I mean, with the technology we have now, I just think it's different, you know. And a lot of people will say that um the templates are very similar to one another, and sometimes
Mhm.
like the beat sounds the same, but if you take a second and listen and dig deeper, it's just so much emotion can like be trapped into this computer, into what you're doing. And
Yeah,
I love
exactly.
it. I mean, I've always thought it was interesting, you know. I grew up listening to like remixes of EDM, remixes of pop songs, um you know, on YouTube and stuff. And I think the one of the few months that I was out here for a trial period,
Hmm.
I was living with my friends and my mom and one of my buddies we
Nice.
kind of all moved out at the same time to test, you know, the acting stuff, to see if it was actually
Okay.
something that we could do and we could do well and this and that. And he's like, "Yo, Dunk, I didn't know California is so into EDM." And I was like, "What?" And he said, "What? California's into EDM?" And I go, "What's EDM?" And he's like, "You listen to it." I'm like, "What? Oh, what?" And he's like, "Electronic dance music." I'm like, "Oh, you mean like the remixes and stuff?" He's like,
Yeah.
"Yes." Yeah, dude. What do you what? And I was like, I don't know, man. I'm sorry. So a little after that, I got really into like looking at all the subgenres, whether it be hard style,
Hmm.
trance, progressive house, deep house, tropical house, anything like that, right? And I said, "Yo, dude, this is really cool." And he's like, "Yeah, dude, you know, we can honestly buy software and make it ourselves." I'm like, "Let's do it." And then
Nice.
we got into it for a
Nice.
little while, and then he wanted to try some other things, and I just never let it go. I was like, "This is really cool," you know. So I ended up learning. I probably spent a consecutive period of, I don't know, maybe like a month or 2 months just on YouTube, like watching videos. I watched videos for days on end before I even tinkered around much with the
Oh
studio,
wow.
the like the
Okay.
DAW. I was just like, I need to learn what I'm doing first before I actually make something. And um, maybe 4 or 5 months in, I started making something. It was, you know, granted, it was still very new. I could tell that I just
Mhm.
started. Um, but I, you know, practice makes perfect. And again, there's no such thing as perfect. Like I said, music is also subjective. Whatever anybody
Mhm.
likes is, doesn't mean that the person next to them or the person people away from them would like the same thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Um, but the thing that I like about EDM the most is that you don't have to be some crazy prodigy musician, perfect pitch, crazy person to do it, right? Um, if you like it and you're passionate about it and you take the time to learn it,
Hmm.
you can do it. You know, I'm living proof. I mean, I didn't go to Juilliard
Yeah.
or a crazy amazing music school. I just learned online. And I've made some pretty awesome contacts who I love in the music industry, um, and they're just super supportive of me, and they're giving me pointers when they can. But honestly, it's definitely a cool outlet to do whenever I'm not acting, right? Because yeah, I always say if you do one thing for the rest of your life, you go insane.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like if I'm
Exactly.
acting, I mean, I act, I get auditions weekly.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I yeah, I do. read sides all the time, but every so often when I have a little break, I'm like, let's make some music. And I've tried to learn how to sing, because in the beginning parts of my youth and teenage years, I always thought like, oh, that'd be kind of cool to sing too, especially when I was
Yeah.
acting. I mean, they kind of go head in head, hand in hand, because if you can act and you can sing and you can dance, you're like a triple threat, and that's
that's great.
people love that.
Yeah.
Dancing, I'm still in the beginning stages. I definitely want to learn. It's just something I've never been able to do very well, but I'm gonna try and learn one day. One day I'll hopefully do it all, but definitely singing I've gotten a lot more comfortable with. And most of the songs that I'm not most of them, but a decent amount of them on my Spotify and all that kind of stuff on my platforms, with my music, I'm actually singing.
Nice.
So it's something that, again, you gotta push through that barrier. You gotta break through that threshold of the uncomfort, right? Because in my opinion, if you're not feeling uncomfortable with it, then there's no growth. And
You're
people
right.
say that all the time, but if you force if you force yourself outside your comfort zone, and you have that same thought process and that same mindset of like, I'm here to do this because I want to learn and get better, there's no other option to do for your brain and for your skills just to do but go up. Like one of my favorite speeches, Peter Dinklage, I think, I don't exactly remember which awards it was, but he said, if you fail better. And that honestly resonated with me to this day. And I heard that maybe 4 or 5 years ago. He's just like, if you fail better, fail harder, fall harder, get back up, and then you'll be in a much better place for the next time you get the door. When the door opens.
That's smart. Yeah, that's really smart.
I mean, exactly. You know what I mean? Like if people are content with where they are, with their talent or their skill or their profession, I think that's boring. Like, I mean, just me personally, I mean, you can feel free to disagree with me, but I think if you're content with where you are,
exactly,
in your profession and your hobby, it's just boring. You're just like, oh man, I'm doing the same thing over and over again. What's next?
I know, right? I know.
What is next? So
I know.
Yeah, I definitely think it's just interesting. It's more fun if you aren't doing everything like how everybody wants you to do it, with the path on your way to success or whatever that may mean to you. I just think it's a lot more interesting, and it's definitely, when you get, hopefully, not knock on wood, when you get to be that level, to where you're a household name, it's a lot more gratifying than if you just were doing everything and got it immediately. I think it's the journey that makes people so happy and so satisfied in the end, whatever the end may be, quote unquote. Yeah,
that's true, because like, if you're starting out struggling, not knowing whether you're gonna make it or not, and then one hit song or one big role in acting, and you're a household name. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, you're absolutely right with that.
Yeah. And and then it's kind of cool because recently I'm posting. I've been kind of trying to gather the hype. I have this new song that's coming out in the next few weeks. Excuse me. And I try and work not necessarily on impulse per se, but if I have an idea that's been stuck in my head for a little while, I'll try and act on it. And it was a song I created and had one of my buddies rap on it, called Lonely Lovers League.
Nice.
And it was a dance mix originally, but everybody, when I had the test listening phase or that period, a lot of people gave me some constructive criticism. They're like, yo, this is great, but I wonder what it would be like if it was like a pop radio type of song too. And I was like, interesting. Okay. Well, I really appreciate that. Thanks for taking the time to listen for something that I made. I appreciate it. And then I pondered a little bit, and I'm like, wait a second. This was kind of the common note that I got throughout, all these different answers. And so I got to work, and about 4 hours later, I made, I implemented some stuff. So it took a lot less time than it would have if I was doing it completely from scratch.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I took I made the pop radio mix, and now I'm gonna release them both at the same time on like
That's
a mini
awesome.
album, like a little EP. So it's great because I truly believe that we're all in this together, even if I don't know the person. If they give me, these talent, not just necessarily talent, but passion and interest and the willing to listen or the willing to pay attention is just all interconnected, even like at an aura or like a spiritual level. And I definitely think if somebody is too quote unquote good to hear somebody's word of advice, even if they have no expertise in the category whatsoever, I think you're just doing yourself a disservice, because, I could listen, like, my grandfather, he'll be 98 in July.
Wow. Okay. Nice.
Yeah. And he has no idea what EDM is at all.
Well, I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And he's always wants to support me, because he's my grandfather. And I try to send him everything I can. And he goes, I have no idea what the hell it is, but I like it. But what if you did this? What if you did this? And I said, actually, that's not a bad idea. He's never heard any other EDM song besides the ones that I've sent him. If anything, I don't know. I'm just being honest. And he's honest too. He's like, well, I don't know if I like this part, but if this part, maybe if you could change this to make it more like da 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 da. I was like, okay, let's do it. And so my point is that any word of advice or any word of criticism, whether it be constructive or even deconstructive in the same way, it just any word of advice to help you is good feedback. Even if it's not necessarily to help you, if it's like, oh yeah, dude, your stuff sucks. I'm like, okay, cool. Thanks. It's still good for me to hear. Yeah, I mean, hopefully my stuff doesn't suck. I mean, I've been working really hard on it, but yeah, I mean, any type of feedback or any type of remark or just any type of, note is good. And that's something I truly try my best to believe in and have been believing in for quite some time.
And your new song you have coming out, what did you write? What did you write the song about?
Ooh. So the lyrics are, it's 3 a.m. I'm wide awake in my car writing songs for closure. That's one of the first verses, and it's very sparse, right? It's not like all together. I kind of have one chunk of words here, another word of lyrics here, like on the grid. So it's like very spaced out. And those lyrics honestly came to me in a dream. And I woke up at like 3:30 a.m. once. I was like, wow, I'm tired, but I need to write this down because I can sleep when I have time to sleep, or I can sleep when I'm dead. Who cares? I need to create. If something, and I'm not the most spiritual person, but I am spiritual to a decent notch. And I said, I think something is telling me this. I don't know if it's me. I don't know if it's the universe. I don't know if it's my dream or something in my head. I'm going to act on it, So I wrote these lyrics and I hummed them on my phone. Literally, I got my phone. I was in my bed. I was like, and I just did it. And then in the morning I woke up. I said, what the heck what is this voice recording? So I looked at it and I said, oh, okay. This is why I keep my phone on my nightstand next to my bed, because I don't know what Sleepy Duncan was saying, but I like it. So I went into the studio and then I wrote it. And I really wrote, and the song Lonely Lovers League is written in a weird abstract sense. I really want the person to know exactly what I'm saying, but in the broadest way possible. And that's something I'm not really, again, comfortable. I haven't done that in the past very much.
Yeah.
But I had one of my buddies rap on it. Basically I want you to kind of have an understanding of what the Lonely Lovers League is, but I don't want to explicitly say it. Right. So in the rap, especially, it's the rap verse, the beginning of it is, what if I could fly? Will it make you happy? Would that let me get by? What if I could live in eternity? Seems cliche. Got to choose it with confidence and carefully.
Nice.
So that's interesting because the lonely lovers, like, what are they? Are they like magicians that grant your wish? Are they something? Are they an entity or some organization that like you gather around like an AA meeting saying, "Hey, what's up? My name is Duncan. I'm a lonely lover." No, I don't really know, to be honest. I don't really know, Rocco, what the Lonely Lovers League is, but I feel it. I don't necessarily know what it is, but I feel it. And
Yeah.
giving it much thought and reflection, I think I've come to the conclusion that a Lonely Lovers League is for people who, or it is, quote unquote, whether it be in a story or my vision of what it is in real life, or anything under that realm. I believe it's a group of people who identify as people who love every little thing about the world, but don't get much love in return. And they're okay with that because they realize that without the Lonely Lovers League, they don't really know there would be anything. It's like Atlas. I don't know if you know much Greek or Roman mythology. It's like the person who holds up the world. The Titan who holds up the earth.
Yep.
In a way, that's kind of what it is, but I'm still not really sure. And I'm be down for anybody else to make their own, ideas. And whenever the song comes out, hopefully I'll get some inquiries. If I go, this is what I think it means. I'm like, okay, well, I'm still learning, but maybe you're right. Maybe I'm wrong. Who knows? But yeah, no, it's definitely a group of people who don't really know that there's other people in the group. It's just that link of hearts, that link of light, that link of optimism that will break at nothing. Nothing will be able to break that optimism, no matter how painful or how upsetting the world may be for these lonely lovers. They're just going to, keep holding up the world, per se. So that's something that's interesting. I can play a tad bit for you if you want to hear it a little bit. Okay. I will play the dance mix because who doesn't like a little dance mix? Here we go. Here we are. Here we go. I'll play it. I'm only going to play about a minute because I don't want to give away the whole song.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Here we go.
It's 3 a.m. I'm wide awake. In my car, writing songs for closure. It started to rain. Oh joy. They say that rainy days will make a brighter tomorrow. Hit it. What if I could fly? Would that make you happy? Would you let me get by? What if I could live in eternity? Seems cliche. Gotta choose it with confidence and carefully, but as you said, I need a little glee.
That's it. That's all I'm gonna
give you today. Wow, that sounds really good.
Thank you. Definitely it's still a work in progress, but it's in the final stages of being in the final stages. So it should be released in the next couple of weeks.
Oh man, that sounds really good. I can't wait to hear it.
Thank you. I appreciate it. That means a lot.
Wow, nice.
Yeah. And then yeah, what's up?
Oh no, go ahead.
I was gonna say, yeah, and then I'm just loving being an artist. I mean, I gotta give my parents thanks and for allowing me to have these opportunities and taking me out here, because I moved out here when I was like 15.
Oh wow, really?
So yeah, it's definitely been a little while, but I mean I'm making my mark, hopefully one day after another, slowly but surely. Yeah, and I gotta say thank you to that director who called my parents way back when, because I've had an epiphany. I've learned that pain and upset and aggression is all just part of growing up, and it's all just part of being human. And if you acknowledge that and can understand it, can grasp that intellectually, it's very powerful and can be used to help yourself later on. I mean, like I was really struggling, when I was in early high school, middle school, but yeah, and the fact that I'm out here following my dream, getting co-stars, guest stars on TV shows right now, it's just been It's, been in some movies, bunch of commercials, joined the Screen Actors Guild, which has been crazy cool.
Oh, sweet, nice.
Yeah. It's honestly it's just a dream come true. And I guess a message to all your viewers is, if there's ever a moment in time where you feel like you're not worth anything, just know that you're the only person who can be you the best. Like nobody's gonna truly be better than you at you. So I think that is a gift, and you need to take that and run with it and never look back, because again, everybody has uniqueness. And I think without uniqueness, there is no world. Like we wouldn't have a consciousness without uniqueness, in my opinion. And just the ability to have feelings and have emotions, and makes the ups feel so much better when after you come back up from a down, and vice versa. I think the contrast of emotions and just the different textures that you feel, or the different emotions, whether it be happiness, sadness, anger, just anything that you feel, jealousy, whatever, right? Take those in, not just as an actor, not just as an artist, but to take those in and literally enjoy every single one that you feel, because, be thankful that you're actually a person that can feel emotions, rather than being like a rock on the side of a shore that gets kicked into the ocean. Like, who knows?
Right.
I mean, and guaranteed, consciousness, whatever, if you want to get into that, a spiel. But no, I really think that whoever you are, no matter where you come from, no matter, how old you are, how young you are, what you look like, whatever, how you sound, you're special, and you need to keep that in mind. And I'm not a perfect example of that by any means either, but I try my best to not let all these things that society deems as like upsets or sadness, take a hold of me. Because if you zoom out, right? If you don't zoom in super quickly, if you zoom out and take a look at your life so far on like a graph, it's gonna equal out to be just life and like an equilibrium, right? It's gonna equal out. And if it hasn't equaled out yet, that means you're gonna get much better in the future. So just keep that in mind. That's kind of what I got to say.
I love hearing you talk, because you're very inspirational, like with your wording, and
Thank you,
I mean,
man.
and I could tell like it's coming from the heart too. And
I hope so, man. I mean, I've been, it's only what I've been preaching and practicing for a while, but I'm just kidding. Yeah, no, it definitely is coming from the heart. And I feel like I would be doing everybody a disservice and myself a disservice if it was artificial.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And now we already talked about like your songs, and now I want to ask a little bit about you as an actor.
Sure.
And one of the big television shows you actually got to be part of was Ben 15.
Oh, Pen 15. Yeah, Pen 15.
Pen 15.
Yeah.
So tell me about the role you played as Scotty.
It was a quick role, but it was one of my favorites by far right now. I auditioned for the role of Alex, actually, for one of the other roles, and
Okay.
they were looking for a guy who was a little bit younger, who had kind of more like a middle school vibe. I must have been 17 or 18 when I auditioned for this.
Right. Okay.
And the casting director said, I called my manager one day and said, maybe this was 2 or 3 days after my audition, and she said, okay, look, I love Duncan so much, but he's not going to get the role of Alex because the producers and the director wanted to, and we were kind of had the ideology of somebody a little bit younger, but I don't want to let Duncan loose. So there's one episode where he can have a bunch of brothers, and he'll be like the cool, like older, like suave brother.
Right.
And I want to just offer Duncan that role right now. And my manager said, that's awesome. That's great. And she said, yeah, I just thought Duncan's audition was great. He knows how to act. He's got chops, but not right for that role, unfortunately, but he's fortunately good for this other role. So let me give you let me give you the paperwork for that. I mean, I'm sure he'd love it. So my manager called me. I said, let's do it. I love it.
Yeah, of course.
So I went in on set for about 3 days. It was fun. We shot. I had to go through this window, and then I was lining up with the main girls in the cast, with my brothers on the left, the girls on the right, and instead of like picking, it was like picking people for dodgeball, and it was just the funniest bit. When I read the sides in the script, I was like, "What? This is great! I love this. It's fantastic." So I ended up going to set, put my phone in my trailer, went in, did the stuff. It was great. And then it was funny when the director has the cut because he's laughing so hard, and you heard it you heard it on the audio. And it was funny. They just told me the entire day, as soon as I got to set, they're like, "You know how to say the word cool, right?" I'm like, "Cool." They're like, no. Say it as Scotty, and go, "Cool." And they said, "Love it, fantastic." So they looked at me right as I was about to say the word, and they're like, "Yo, Doug, you ready?" I'm like, "I'm ready." Then we got in the line, they yelled at, we were outside first. We went through the window. They called action, going through, kind of like looking around, like, the girls are here. Great. Walked in line. And then I remember, oh my God, I remember the actress who played Miranda. So funny. She's like, I think that was her name. Yeah. That was the character's name. My mom's not home, and I'm like, cool. It was just funny, and everybody's raving about that. I got so many Snapchats and Facebooks and Instagram posts like, "Oh my God, is that you?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's me." And then and then there was another show I had 2 episodes on. It was called Generation on HBO Max.
Yeah, that's a really good show.
Yeah, it was great. Definitely a fantastic show. Love the casting. Love the people in the cast. Very, very, and the crew too. It was great. I was there only a couple days. But yeah, it was great. I played a guy named Dave. He was like the stoner, like class clown.
Nice.
So not too far off. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, and I remember 2 months later, it was at the end of 2020, like October, like around Halloween.
Yeah.
I auditioned for the role on tape. The same day, casting calls my agent, "Yo, Duncan's audition was hilarious. He's got the role. Here's his paperwork, everything, blah, blah, blah." Went in. Then about February or March came along of this year. And it was so funny. And I got another audition from my agent for Generation.
Oh, really?
I was like, I'm not sure if this could work, because like I already am in the show, but like it's a different person. And then they go, "You know what?" So they called casting, and there was a misunderstanding. They said, "This is a different character, but casting loves you so much, they want to see if you could do this role, and if they do it, then they'll tell production to merge the character with Dave." So I was like, "Oh, okay." So I submitted the tape, and 2 hours later they call, like, "Yeah, Duncan has the role. You just tell him to go back to set." So
wow.
I went back to set. Yeah, it was interesting. That doesn't normally happen, but
yeah, exactly.
I guess it was very fun, just fun for me. And also, I guess, it's pretty smart on their move, because they'd already knew who I was. They had already had my vaccination card and everything.
Yeah,
and they didn't want to bring somebody completely new into the cast when it could just be Dave again. So that's from my understanding from what happened. I don't exactly know what happened from casting side to the production side still yet to this day, but I do know that whatever character that was now Dave 2.0. So,
nice.
Yeah, that was definitely great. And it was fun. Loved it. Loved the cast, seeing them again. And I just got back to auditioning and doing my jam.
Oh, wow. That must have been something for the cast. Like they saw you doing the one role, and then they're like, "Oh my God, he's back."
I mean, honestly, for the cast, I think they're just, "Oh, what's up?" Hey, because things change on a dime every 5 minutes for them. So
that's true.
I don't think they're like, "Duncan, what are you doing here?" They're like, "Oh, what's up? How are you?" "Oh, hey, what's up, yo?" So yeah, that was fun. And just stuff like that. It's those little things that make the storytelling just become that much more enriched for me to hopefully be able to be a part of and tell.
Nice. And another show I saw you you're part of that. I think it's out now or coming out. You final
Oh, final
exam.
exam. Yeah, so that's a show in pre-production. It will be
Oh,
coming
okay.
out
So it's coming
somewhat.
out then.
We haven't shot yet.
Oh,
But it's planning to shoot. I can't necessarily give too many details.
well, yeah, of course.
Yeah, but it's planning to shoot soon. And we've got a lot of very, very, very cool, amazing people involved in the cast and in the crew. And yeah, I'm really excited to give that a go and start telling my story as Kurt,
Nice.
Mr. Kurt Yeager. So yeah, I'm excited. It's been postponed a couple of times due to COVID, but you can probably understand that. Yeah. But yeah, no, the time is coming soon for that, and I'm really excited. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to giving that character breathe some life into him, as well as I actually one of the showrunners pulled some strings and was able to allow me to take a shot at writing one of the themes for the show.
Really?
Yeah, so I've done
that's
that,
so awesome.
Yeah, so I'm kind of like doing both things at that professional level. So yeah, I'm super excited for that. The theme song is not sure if it's going to be the main theme or whatever theme, but they loved it from what I heard from my direct contact. So that's something that's great, and super satisfying for me to hear. Hold on. Excuse me. Woo,
bless you.
Thank you. Yeah. So yeah, it's just something that I'm interested in doing. I hopefully one day like to be a mainstream artist. Knock on wood.
Yeah.
Maybe sound score some movies. I also know how to do that pretty well, and just be an actor and a screenwriter. I just love telling stories. I always have, even if I didn't even know.
Nice. And like my show deals a lot with horror films. So I don't know if you like horror films, but if you do, what are some horror films you love watching?
Ooh. Okay, there is this one movie, Lights Out. That was one of the craziest movies I've seen in a long time for horror. It freaks me out when I was in the theater. I like jumped and like landed funny on my hip, and I started limping out. And my friends were like, "What the hell happened to you? Why are you limping?" And this was like a true story, because I was like this, and I was like, like that, and I like landed funny, and I was like, "Oh crud!" So I was like, I tried to I hid the limp pretty well, but it was still like really hurt. My leg was like hurting oh my god, it was hurting so bad. And then I remember very fondly, my friends were like, "Yo, good, what happened?" I'm like, I just watched you guys aren't limping, you just watched the movie? What? Come on. No. But yeah, it was really awkward, but I loved the movie, loved the cinematography, loved the jump scares. It was definitely an experience. And yeah, some other horror movies. I love The Shining. I like all the classic horror movies. Of course, yeah. I mean, yeah. Let me see what else there is. The Conjurings series is cool too.
They are. I love them.
Yeah. Insidious was also pretty good. I don't. That's not my normally like my go-to.
Well, yeah.
But I like my genre. But I'd be a good horror movie every once in a while is great.
Okay.
Like what was that stuff? Ghost Encounters. Those things were creepy. Devil's Pass. All those stuff. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nice. I mean, hey, anytime you leave a horror movie limping, it was like a good one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Yeah, you don't gotta tell me twice. So.
What about video games? Do you like playing video games? Like, what are some video games?
I mean, occasionally I'll game with my friends, but nothing like super like in depth. I mean, I like occasionally I'll play some like some Minecraft with my little brothers and stuff like that sometimes. Occasionally Halo, the new Halo. I always liked that game, like Halo Reach was one of my jams. I like more like Nintendo stuff.
Oh, sweet. Cool. Nice.
Yeah, I mean, I've played like Legend of Zelda. That stuff is crazy. I
Oh
love the
my
graphics,
God,
love
it is.
the music. Everything about that
Yes.
is phenomenal to me.
Yes.
Um, always little Super Smash Brothers is great. Um, yeah, Kirby. I love Kirby. That shit was great when I was growing up. Yeah, nothing too much.
Nice. Nice. And is there anything coming out next that you want to push or plug that you're allowed to?
um, nothing right now. I mean, honestly, I'm
Okay.
just chilling. I mean, I'd like to say some things, but then again, I signed some stuff to where I'm not allowed to.
Well, yeah,
So,
exactly.
hopefully, you guys will see it soon. Can't really specify anything too in particular. So, yeah, but just I guess I'm working. I've been working on a couple things here and there right now. Got a couple of pretty big things coming up soon. So,
Nice.
just riding the wave, doing my thing, making some tunes along the way, and
Nice.
yeah, just living life.
And where can fans find you at? Like, what's your pages?
I have an Instagram. It's at dunkmoda _. It's spelled at the @ DUNKMODA and _. Yeah, and I've got a Facebook actor page and stuff like that. Just Duncan J Anderson. Twitter at Dunk J Anderson, DUNCJANDERSON. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I don't really have very many. I mean, TikTok is also Dunk Moda, but I'm trying to get on to posting that more. It's I know it's something that I need to do, and I try and post as much as I can, but it's just, oh my god, I just like watching it stuff on TikTok, but I mean, like,
Right?
it's so hard to just make the videos and like
I know.
look
I know.
fantastic like everybody else. I mean, I have the ring light and whatever other stuff, and I'm not. It takes a lot of work, and I just wish I could have more time. I could allot to that, or allocate to that. But it's something I need to work on a little more. But yeah, my TikTok is at dunkmoda, DUNKMODA. So
Sweet. Awesome.
also my Spotify and Apple Music is also at dunkmoda, same tag as the TikTok. So yeah,
Nice, man. Nice.
thank
Well,
you.
I want to thank you so much. Oh, I feel a sneeze coming on now. I want to thank you again for taking time out, coming on the show. It was really cool talking to you. Like, I really love listening to everything you had to say, from music, bullying, acting, and like it was really awesome. So thank you again, like, for doing this.
Of course, man. My pleasure. And thank you for having me and wanting to have me on the show. I really appreciate it.
Sweet. Nice. Of course, man. It was fun.
So thank you so much. Yeah, it was definitely a fun time for sure.
Well, I want to wish you a good weekend and happy holidays coming up.
Thank you. You too, man. Definitely.
All right, buddy. Have a good night, bud.
You too, man. Thank you. Take care.
You too.